RK's Guyana Free Media presents for human development and national development this message. Dearest, beloved, divine friends and family, welcome to RK's Guyana Free Media, part 79, episode 79, and we started at number 1. Please bear in mind that there are many also that's posted without the editing and without the back screen in the raw. And I notice people seem to like in the raw very much, but we can't give you all in the raw on a constant basis. As you're aware, guys, this is a very depressive, but for some of us an exciting period, crisis period, and we need to learn to enjoy it rather than, ladies and gentlemen, to get depressed and in pain. And I'm your host, Haji, Brother Dr. Roshan Khan, striving to bring wisdom of the situation, analysis in my own amateur way, and also to give the reality and some commentaries as to what's going on and readings directly from various articles. Friends and family, we must always remember that Guyana is our country. You and I, all the 6 races here, the leaders, the opposition and opposition to be, and the leaders in government and those in government to be, we must remember we have to find ways to live together. We have to find ways to bring our human family and dignity together as a family under God, in peace and harmony and goodwill, in joy and love. Friends and families, ladies and gentlemen, let us not forget we all need to be ambassadors for peace. We need to all work at the same time. We must hate nobody. Our politics may differ. Yours truly is not a politician, and I don't have a favorite political party. But I want you to know that, and I know that because of the commentaries I've been making recently, people will judge me to be a PPPC. But no, I'm also an APNU or a PNC, because I always stand for what is right. And when the PPPC was in power and they did some wrong things, I put them in their place. And if the APNU today is doing some wrong things, it is my duty as a fair commentator to put them in the place and try to correct and guide them, but some of them don't listen. So you have to be vociferous, sometimes you have to be very firm. But they are both my friends, of both sides. But I want peace and goodwill, and I hope to hope one day to bridge the gap that is dividing, that is spreading, and bring these 2 great parties together, for they were both birthed from the same womb. And it was, I think, in 1985, when Dr. J.D. Jagan and Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham were working to create this atmosphere of peace, for which something drastically happened. They were going very fast, and suddenly Forbes Burnham went into an operation and he died. I'm of the opinion that there was some skullduggery in that operation, and there were some people who wanted him dead, and so that he could not have worked to bring about peace. And so that Dr. J.D. Jagan was advised by his people in Russia and Cuba to accept the prime ministerial position, and he was going to accept that position for peace and development of Guyana, but somebody else wanted to be the prime minister. And like later on that happened to Vincent Tika, Forbes Burnham was put to rest. I believe that there was more in his death than mere operation procedures taking place. Let's remember, if you study the entire operations that was going on, there were some strange happenings during the operation itself. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a friend of all Guyanese. I'm a peace worker, I'm an ambassador for peace, but because sometimes that I read, and the points I make, some people might misconstrue or seem to think that I'm prejudiced for one over the other. But I have to speak for what is right. And in this case, it is the persons and the party that won the election, to my opinion and views, and most of the people and the entire world, it is the PPPC. So my friends in the APNU are annoyed with me, and some of their friends are calling me names and so forth. But this goes with politics. You can't allow these things to really drive pain into your heart. One has to be realistic and stand for what is right and take whatever pain is coming. But They're both my friends, for they both were birthed from the same womb. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a quick, I have 3 parts, they can turn 3 now, in this episode 79, taken from the Sunday edition, July 12th of the Kaieteur News, and it's the front page column. To show them you have backbone, Claudette Singh. GCOM's chair, retired Justice Claudette Singh, must act and do so immediately. She has no other choice. The Commission's Chief Elections Officer, CEO, Mr. Keith Lowenfield, has repeatedly engaged in the most flagrant sets of insubordination. And I would like to add, I pass on disrespect for the chair and the country. Through calculated disrespect and continuing disregard for clear directives issued by Chairwoman Singh. Mr. Lowenfield's gross disapproval of one order after another from the chair of the Commission would not have been tolerated in any organization worth its salt, Kaieteur News says, or in any environment that aspires to democratic norms and ideals. He has done as he sees fit, and both unilaterally and arbitrarily, through reports that are so skewed that they border on criminal. He has disenfranchised over 100,000 Guyanese voters, 150,000 to be precise. No man, no official should be allowed to act so manipulatively and capriciously. He has hijacked Guyana's electoral process and holds this nation hostage at his whim and through his corruptive tactics. Chairwoman Singh must move quickly to replace him. His replacement does not necessarily have to be from within the ranks of the GCOM Secretariat, which is saturated with partisan elements, for those who don't understand that, which is full or soaked with people who are biased against the nation, against the party that might have won, which is the PPPC, and so it doesn't have to come from the GCOM, and my word, ladies and gentlemen, also, it should never be Miss Myers. Miss Myers has compromised herself, and she is a party acolyte. You see, the friends and family, ladies and gentlemen, of both parties, both great parties, both parties are great. Justice must not only be done, but it must appear to be done. You cannot take biased people and put them in this position to act for national consensus and national development. The chairwoman must manifest courage and backbone that will not bend before the barefaced daylight robberies resurrected from decades ago. Commentary, he's obviously, the newspapers, is obviously the editor referring to the era of Forbes Burnham. Back to the article. This is the 21st century. This has to be a new and better Guyana. It must be a place of lawful and the democratic, and where the will of the people must be honored and not desecrated by the likes of the CEO and those who stand behind him. She must fire the CEO immediately and without ceremony. Start with somebody fresh tomorrow. Let this election be closed out and give Guyanese a chance to live again. And I will add, a chance to breathe again, friends and family. And find ways also for both great political parties of Guyana to learn to respect each other and build trust and friendship so that we can build a better Guyana. Friends and families, I will now move on to part 2. Taken from Kaieteur News, Monday, July 13th, that's today of this recording. 2020, the AFC leaders will face sanctions by Pepping Tom. And I'm your host, Haji Roshan Khan. Martin Niemöller, a Lutheran pastor who was born in 1892 and lived to the ripe old age of 92, wrote these words. They came first for the communists. and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade union, and I didn't speak because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time no one was left to speak up. Friends and families, I'll take a break here and make a commentary. This is precisely why I am doing what I'm doing. Many are telling me that you should not be doing this. You're a peace worker. You're a religious icon, a religious personality, a man of peace. I am. I am a man of peace. I have no discrimination. All I'm doing sometimes is read. And if a person refers to a race, then I have to read that race. For example, I was reading Freddie Kissoon column yesterday, Sunday, that was published on Saturday, the 11th. And he spoke about David Hines, speaking about African or black people. All I'm doing is reading. And some people have an opinion that I'm racial. No, people have got to use their senses. I'm reading from Freddie Kissoon and other people's articles. I have no racism. I don't know what it is. It never exists. It can never will. My teachers, my masters, the people who educated me were all African geniuses and masters. The people who protected me and my family from starvation and destruction were African people. They are an important part of my life. Black people. And not that I am white. I am also bloody well and black. But usually when you use the word black, it refers to Africans. And African refer to black people. But we are all black. Even the Jews are considered to be fair-skinned blacks. So ladies and gentlemen, let's go on to the article, but I want to state that. This is why I'm standing up. Some people are thinking I should not be doing these things, but I'm doing it because I feel I have to. If I stay quiet, where would all this information have gotten out? How would you have gotten it? Those who cannot read, those who cannot get the papers, those who are too old, those who don't have the time, they enjoy the reading and my style of reading. Back to the article, ladies and gentlemen. So this is why I'm speaking up, because the day might come when they will come for me, and there will be nobody for me. So I have to fight for anyone, whether Africans, Indians, all Guyanese, Chinese, or anyone. I must speak from now. Catholics, non-Catholics, Protestants, Muslims, Hindus, and those of you who know me, I speak for all religions, and I love all religions, and I love all humanity, and so must you. One people, one nation, one destiny. And back to Pepping Tom. And let me see Pepping Tom up there. Operator, thank you. Pepping Tom is a secretive person. He cannot be touched or seen easily. He is only known by the publisher of the Kaieteur News, Mr. Glenn Love. Good secret. It's a good thing. The international community is daily, back to the article, right? I'm going back to the article. The international community is daily condemning the shenanigans being employed to rig the 2020 general and regional elections. World leaders, heads of international organizations, retired heads of government, academic and politicians across the world are raising the voice in support of democracy in Guyana. I must say, commentary, thank you, all you countries, all you diplomats, all over the world. Let me see the United States of America, the flag and the map, the Canadians, the Indians, the Africans, the Caribbean. Let me see them all. The Pacific nations, all the nations of the world, the United Kingdom, Europe, the whole of Europe, the CARICOM. Let us see the whole of CARICOM. This is all the entire world, ladies and gentlemen, is fighting for the democracy in Guyana. And imagine if it wasn't for these people, those who are trying to steal the nation for whatever reason, to steal the country, to steal the election, what would happen to those people who did not support them? We have already seen them going after people. We heard that, and we've seen some photographs that they're pulling off lights of perfect harmony that they had put up to help the people because they didn't vote for them, and because the community is fighting against the party that is ruling today, they went and removed the lights. This is immaturity. This is weakness. This is not winning hearts and minds. This is why the election was lost. And I'm addressing my friends in the afternoon AFC. Don't hate me, because I do not hate you, but you all have made some gross mistakes. You have got to catch yourself, and you have got to apologize to the people and try to fight for another day. Back to the article. In Guyana, a large number of organizations have come out in support of electoral democracy and against the attempts at rigging the elections. But apart from the Justice for All party, there has been a deafening silence from within the coalition. Ladies and gentlemen, commentary. We must remember that Ram Jatan tried to admit, twice he did it. He actually accepted and was leaving when some people let him know that there's a chance they could win. And so he changed his mind, so he actually did it. But C.N. Sharma, who has proven himself to be a true giant in Guyana and a master for peace and goodwill and righteousness in Guyana, he has done the right thing. You must remember also the principled and honorable former Minister of Business, Dominique Gaskin, son-in-law of the former president and now Brigadier David Arthur Granger, that he has spoken against the coalition and the wrong things they're doing and the hate that they're perpetuating here in Guyana. Except for the JFAP, none of the other coalition parties have come out and disavowed the shameless rigging, which is believed to be orchestrated by the PNCR. By their silence, these parties and their leaders have been complicit in the scheme to deny the will of the people. And this is not my words, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all please understand. This is the word of Pepping Tom in yesterday's, Sunday's Kaieteur news. Instead, leaders within the AFC have joined the PNCR bandwagon in supporting the perversion of electoral democracy. It cannot be that they are afraid. Sharma was not afraid. The only leader of the AFC who has come out and condemned the coalition lying to its supporters is, as I told you before, ladies and gentlemen, Dominique Gaskin. No other AFC leader has done so. In fact, just yesterday, one of them took a swipe at the countries of the Caribbean, urging them to stay out of Guyana's business. And I will call his name, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't want it. It's Trotman, Raphael Trotman, where he had his big wedding and so on that was financed surreptitiously, it is said, and he didn't do the big, fantastic, supersonic wedding in Guyana for whatever reasons. He came out against the small country with a few hundred people, failing to realize that they all make up what is called CARICOM. So he also, I'm very disappointed with that man. That, I guess, the power, the desperation, and then he's Minister of the Mineral Wealth of Guyana, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, part of it, oil and gas, was taken away from him. Why? You have to think. And the President himself is running that ministry, or that department. The leaders of the AFC have refused to disassociate themselves from electoral rigging. And by their own silence and actions in support of electoral malfeasance, electoral gluttonousness, stupidity, wickedness, conspiracies, tricks, and so forth, malfeasance, these leaders must be held accountable for aiding in the undermining of democracy. One of the greatest scientists, some say he is the greatest who ever lived, Albert Einstein, once said, "If I were to remain silent, I would be guilty of complicity." Commentary. If I, Roshan Khan, would remain silent and allow all that's going on for opportunism, for something you want, and thank God certain things were not given to me, or else I would have had compromised myself and I would have had to shut my mouth. Einstein said, if I were to remain silent, I would be guilty of complicity. Martin Luther King Jr., He said our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. The great civil rights leader warned, the hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. Oh God, I love that. The hottest place in hell is reserved, according to the great hero of the United States civil rights leader, Martin Luther King Jr. The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. Many of my family, many of my friends in Apno and otherwise are telling me, stay quiet. You need to remain neutral. Businessmen, big businessmen, some with my name, are saying, stay neutral so whoever wins, you can move that way. And I told them that's opportunism. I am not an opportunist. I'm an opportunist by worshipping Allah and by respecting the universe and asking the sun and the birds and the rain and the wind and the earth and the microbes, the dust in the air and the sky, to protect and watch over me. I will never be an opportunist, and I can never be an opportunist. But of course, if people are good to me, then I have to return the favor and the good to them. Back to the article by Pepping Tom. Mahatma Gandhi puts it as follows: silence becomes cowardice. When occasion demands speaking out the whole truth and acting accordingly. One of the AFC's leaders said goodbye to the senior members of his ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, Ramjatan. I don't know what he's afraid of. He's usually very brave. Is there two Pepping Toms? Because this writing seems a bit different from the other Pepping Tom. I think there's two Pepping Tom. The writing and the style is not too typical the same. They're both learned, it will appear. Then back to the article. He admitted to them that the PPC had beaten the coalition by more than 15,000 votes, and that is open, known, flying all over the place, Comrade Ramjatan. But as soon as new shenanigans, I repeat, as soon as the new shenanigans to rig the elections emerged, he changed his tune and said he was only saying goodbye because he was moving on to a new posting. He was moving to a new posting even before the election results were known, according to Pepping Tom. True. He's moving to a new posting even before, he don't know if he had won it. So why are you saying goodbye? That you're going to this new post. This is the opportunism of some people in politics, because it is known that he, Ramjatan and Moses, they want this siren to spin so heavily in their skulls. In this, they love it, and the power, and the perks, and the money, and the travel, and the wealth that goes with the various position, and friends in appointment, and guns, and guns galore, and they become partners in agencies and businesses and security services. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know so much. I'm not speaking so much about Moses. I know and have a problem with him and his principles and his ethics and his politics, but I don't know of him being in a corrupt transaction. Honestly, fairly, I don't know, so I can't say. But Ramjatan, the Secretary of State of the United States, back to the article, has indicated that he has instructed his staff to hold those in Guyana who undermine democracy accountable. The United States has so far been restrained, most likely since it does not wish to act preemptively. However, and I was saying it's because they're probably afraid of President Granger and Lowenfield. Maybe the USA and the other big countries were afraid. But here, Pepping Tom is saying maybe because they didn't want to act preemptively. They didn't want to make a jump. They wanted to take their time and study the situation and make a careful and a cautious decision. Fine, I go with that too. Back to the article. However, what is clear is that the United States does not bluff. Those who feel, therefore, that they can engage in electoral fraud and escape sanctions will have a rude awakening when they realize the reach which the United States has. Oh God, the United States has long reach, long arms, long hands. The USA, Canada, and the powerful European Union dominate the Western economy. And when they impose personal sanctions, certain persons will realize the folly of their ways. When the sanctions are realized, a commentary, then they will get the gist of what it is to be suffering from sanctions and to be imprisoned in your home or in your house. And then, I hope not, God, please, not sanctions for my country. Please, Lord, not my country, because our people will suffer the most. Back to the article. The leaders of the AFC will not escape the sanctions, except for Dominic Gaskin. All the others will be eligible to be sanctioned. Some could lose their citizenship, their green cards, their visas, and then they can't send money, and their money could be seized around the world, especially those who believe that they will get away with electoral fraud, according to the article. It is chilling to think that these are the very persons who were administering the country over the past 5 years. They are unfit, according to Pepping Tom, they are unfit to ever rule again. By their actions and silence, they cannot escape culpability for what is taking place presently. Dearest friends and family, brothers and sisters, and now I move to part 3. Part 3, ladies and gentlemen, of this, the RK is Guyana Free Media. My friend, Freddie Kissoon. I want Freddie Kissoon one time with a sound. Boom, Freddie Kissoon. 2 times with the sound. Freddie Kissoon. And 3 times. I hope you enjoyed that boom, Freddie Kissoon. I heard you don't look at Facebook, but I think otherwise. Or somebody will tell you. Or send you the piece. You're doing a beautiful job, brother. You're a man who truly deserves to win a national award. I continue to say I terrify for what was done to your wife in losing her job because of you. I'm pretty sure Irfan Ali will try to correct that. One of them, and this is taken from July 13, 2020, Kaieteur News. One of the most explosive issues in journalism in the 21st century occurred last month in the New York Times, NYT. One of the legal global newspapers did an opinion piece in the NYT. Republican Senator Tom Cotton supported President Trump's contemplation of using the army to quell nationwide protests that broke over the police killing of George Floyd. Ladies and gentlemen, that is in our heart. We respect for George Floyd, wish them, his family and his soul peace, and God bless his soul. Let us also say we disagree with those who have been using the opportunity to steal, to hurt, and to create a barbaric situation that I think the United States, the police in the various districts where you all have been misbehaving. You did not protest, you did not talk, you're trying to steal, you're trying to hurt, you're breaking into people's stores, you're destroying lives, you're beating and hurting people. That does not look good for you. It shows that you are in a nefarious state of deceit and thievery, and using this poor gentleman who was murdered, George Floyd. You cannot say that it is deserved to hurt and misbehave and destroy people's life and business. You should have been in the corner praying, meditating, and wishing the soul well, and then showing your power by moving on a 1,000,000-man march. That is what you all should have done. But what you all want to do, steal, thief. And I tell you what, there are some people in Guyana waiting for the opportunity to affect businesses, to break into stores, and to create mayhem. Watch my words come to pass, ladies and gentlemen. Some people will try, but I think the Guyana police force, and in the end, particularly President David Arctic Ranger will come out and say, hey, no, not in Guyana. President David Arctic Ranger, please don't allow this to happen to the country. Please don't destroy everything. Please don't destroy the bit that might be left of you. Please do that. And I ask you again, Brigadier David Arctic Ranger, come out and declare that you have lost the elections and save you and save Guyana and others from sanctions. Back to the article. New York Times subsequently withdrew the column and explained it was in violation of what the paper stands for. This is principle. In the United States, one of the documents that guide American journalism is the Hutchins Commission report. The publisher of Time magazine, Henry Luce, or Henry Luce, depends on how you English or American English, in 1942 asked Robert Hotchkiss, a philosopher and president of the University of Chicago, to put together a team of American scholars to assess the direction of American journalism. The Hotchkiss Commission, in its report, A Free and Responsible Press, published in 1946, stressed the context that journalism must operate in, given what had just occurred. Fascism in Europe ended by a world war. In its report, it stressed context. Here is what the report asserted: the preservation of democracy and perhaps of civilization may now depend upon a free and responsible press. It is important to note the word responsible. More than 70 years after the Hotchkiss Commission, the United States is facing a social upheaval never seen before, because American democratic values are threatened by a president whose character embodies autocratic instincts. It is in this context NYT, the New York Times, rejected Cotton's column. Here is what the News Guide of New York, consisting of America's top journalists, had to say in its condemnation of NYT publishing Cotton's piece. Its lack of context, inadequate vetting by editorial management, spread of misinformation, and the timing of its call to arms greatly undermine the work we do every day. Readers need to note the use of the word context. Based on what has taken place in the US, Cotton's column was a dangerous departure in journalism. Pulitzer-Prize journalist of the Washington Post, Wesley Lowery, wrote the following in his agreement with New York Times, putting the Cotton's piece: "For years I have been among a chorus of mainstream journalists who have called for reporters to focus on being fair and telling the truth as best as one can, based on the given context and available facts. Again, I advise readers to bear in mind that the word context, as used by Lowry, some wisdom and some ideas coming to us from Freddie Kissoon, who is a renowned, dynamic, brilliant journalist. And some guidance also to the younger journalists who do not go to school. Many have never went to university. They don't understand journalism, but they had a voice, or they feel they can do it, and they do it. Back to Freddie Kissoon. Let us apply context to what is taking place in Guyana. This country is going through a constitutional, political, and social crisis never seen in the British West Indies. If society in Guyana accepts the rigged election of 2020, then fascism takes over and Guyana virtually dies. If Guyana accepts the rigged election of 2020, then fascism takes over and Guyana virtually dies. In this context, one should quote the words of the Hotchkiss Commission: "It is no longer enough to report the fact truthfully. It is now necessary to report the truth about the fact." The Kaieteur News has a quota of columnists that are defending the freedoms and liberties this country's people are entitled to and rejecting the direction of fascism. I would appeal to media entities to be vigilant. Some columnists are operating in the Cotton way. One introduced race hate by poor attempt to achieve its relevance of the Black Lives Matter movement to Guyana by arguing that anti-black racism in Guyana is similar to what obtains in the US. According to Freddie Kissoon, ladies and gentlemen, these are the words of Freddie Kissoon. Guyana, another columnist dishonestly hid support for rigged election by APNU and AFC by accusing friendly countries of treating Guyanese as colonial subjects, when all they are doing is trying to save us from fascism. It is not for me to lay down the operating principles for media houses, but I would strongly suggest, Freddie Kissoon says, they analyze the Cotton NYT situation. Friends and families, your brother, me, Haji Roshan Khan, thank you for joining in with us on this The Watch Party and individual showcasing of these pieces. Your friend, your brother, asking you to pray for Guyana, to pray for peace joy and goodwill, respect for everyone of all races. Our Afro-Guyanese and our Indo-Guyanese, our Indo-Guyanese and Afro-Guyanese, and our Armenians and our Chinese, many of them have been calling racism on one or the other. Particularly the indigenous people have been suffering the most by racist prejudices. Ladies and gentlemen, we must stop this. We must end this in Guyana. Guyana is our country, a beautiful country. Let us cherish it and honor it. Dearest beloved divine friends and family, your brother, your friend Haji Dr. Mushin Khan, saying thank you. A farewell, friends, for now.